We are 45 days into our abandoned Victorian home renovation, and I'm just going to keep it 100 with y'all. This has not been a good week. I get a call on Friday from the project manager that said all the guys are refusing to show up to work on Monday. And I said, why are they refusing to show up to work? And he said, because they want to get paid more. And I said, well, that's crazy because we have a contract that says everyone gets paid in 1/3. So 1/3 up front, 1/3 in the middle, and 1/3 at the end. And we are already past the middle, so 2/3 of the entire budget has already been paid to you. And the project manager said, yeah, but they want to get paid for the extras and they want to get paid right now. And that's a very fair thing to ask for. But I said, what extras? He said, well, there's 2 archways that they want to get paid for. And I said, how much could, 2 archways be? $500 a piece, $1,000 a piece. That's fine. I'll pay that. And he said, no, they want, another $30,000. I said, that's insane. Like, what are you talking about? So I called the crew. There's the project manager who you see right here. I'm trying not to show his face, and the actual crew that's like doing all the work. So I called the crew and I was like, hey, how much have you gotten paid this entire time? Like, something's fishy, something's not right. And they don't speak English, so I had to we're using translator apps. So they've only been paid $30,000 and I've paid $65,000 just on labor alone. So that means the project manager, allegedly, because I don't know if this is going to go to court or not, is holding on to another $30,000 that he has not paid the guys. Now the guys are refusing to come, and he's trying to gaslight us to say that it's because of a couple $1,000 extra archways. So that's a huge problem. And so I said, all right, let's deal with this head on. And Monday morning, we're all having a meeting. Let's do it. The project manager said, no, the crew refuses to meet with you on Monday. And then I contacted the crew, and the crew says, I'm down to meet on Monday. The project manager told us not to come on Monday, and I'm scared that the project manager is going to ruin my life. Now, I don't know if that was like a rough translation and he meant something else, but that's pretty serious words. So that is where we are. And let's just remind you that there is a 90-day timeline to finish this project, or else the investor is charging me a huge penalty. And we are 47 days into it, maybe now, and we have basically no crew. They're all, they're refusing to work, and they will not sit down and address it. I can't get everyone in the same room to address it. So I got to figure that out. Let's circle back around to that. I should have really known, because we were doing another project, and the crew from that other project said that they didn't get paid either what we agreed to, but I didn't work with them before, so I didn't know who to trust. It looks like should be trusting the crews. So more updates will come about how we deal with that. But I have footage from the first day we met with the project manager, and this is what the realtor said. He says he can get this all done in 3 to 4 weeks.
I think he's full of shit.
I want to believe him, but 3 to 4 weeks is an insane timeline for renovation of a historic house.
Correct. So to me, he's already starting off 1 foot.
Not so good.
Off the ledge.
So in slightly happier news, though, one of the problems I've been struggling with for the last couple weeks was about this driveway. Now, if you remember, we don't have a driveway. The 2 neighbors have our driveways, and we just have a shared driveway. But we're not going to be able to get the highest amount on the comps unless we have somewhere for these people to park. And we finally figured it out, thank God. So we're putting pads down on the right side and the left side of those bricks. Now, the bricks are very tricky, because if you're a regular watcher of this series, you'll remember that last episode, the city came and shut us down for doing some exterior work that wasn't permitted. And what they said wasn't permitted was the steps. We put some wood on the steps, and they didn't like that. So we took the wood down. However, during that process, we realized that the bricks were historic as well, so we can't really touch the bricks. We can pull up the bricks and put them back down, but they have to stay generally in the same place. So we're putting a pad on the right side and the left side of the house to allow someone to at least pull up and park a little bit. It's not going to be perfect, but I feel like at this point, we're just going to rock and roll with kind of, the best we can. And that really is what house flipping is all about from my experience. I've done 115 of these things. You think you would get better at it the more you do it, but every single house is this interesting Rubik's Cube of bullshit that you have to figure out. And you have to make sure that you get your numbers right at the beginning, because if you don't get your numbers right, the Rubik's Cube and all the work that you do is going to net you no profit at the end, and it's not going to be worth it. It's not going to be worth the time and the frustration. So you got to get your numbers right. Another thing you have to get right, which they are doing superbly, is your molding and crown and your design aesthetic. So we are trying to keep the original vibes of this Queen Anne Victorian house, and we decided to put some mold and trim up. And it's always a toss-up until you start to see it up, but I think it's absolutely beautiful. What do y'all think? This was one of the highlights of the week because at least this went right. Actually, now that I am thinking about it and reading my notes of what to talk to y'all about, there's something that didn't go right in this process, which we still have to figure out, but I'll get to that in a minute. So that got done, and we are doing this on the downstairs and the upstairs, and we do think that that's going to be a really beautiful thing. There was a little bit of challenge between, do we paint the entire ceiling, wall, and crown all the same color, or do we do a ceiling a different color and the crown a different color? So here are the infamous archways that the project manager is trying to tell us the crew wants $10,000 for, or they have to walk off. So we're dealing with that. But one interesting aspect of this, and this is really kind of the fun part of a renovation, when you start to get the drywall up and when you start to be able to put a prime coat on and start to do this. So it's finally coming together, and that does give me a little bit of hope in terms of moving forward. What is super interesting and kind of a mind screw about this business is that even if you're losing money or a project is not moving forward, you have to be looking out for the next one, and you have to stop what you're doing and go look for the next one. So my employee, who is a acquisition specialist, found this one, and he's like, you have to get over there right now. They want $100,000 for this, and it's literally been abandoned for 18 years. A tree fell on the roof, and their water and the rain has been leaking in. Look at that creepy ass doll. The water and rain has been leaking into this house for 18 years. So this is a huge project. You can see some of the water damage, and it's gone from the roof all the way down to the basement. That's the bad news. The good news is, what a sick looking house, right? The comps on the right side was basically the exact same floor plan, the exact same builder, and it was $295,000. So the owner wants 100, we'd have to put 120 in, so very tight margins. I offered the owner 80,000 for that, which is still pretty high, honestly, because even though the comp is 295, there's other comps on the area that are not selling for like 260. So it's going to be kind of a gamble. I will say though, it's a cool house. It's pretty inspiring. It kind of fits this zombie house vibe that we're trying to go to. And I do think we might be able to make 40 or 50K in it, but it's going to be a shit ton of work. And I don't know if I have the energy to do it right now. So back to the pressing issue. As you can see, we're getting our archways in. The main thing that we have to do now is design this as aesthetically pleasing as possible. And that's a challenge. So in house flipping, you have designers, you have architects, you have the crew, you have the project manager, you have the realtors. You just have so many pieces to orchestrate. And that's what I feel like a lot of people fail to realize about this business, is that it's mostly orchestration. So, or orchestrating, I don't know if that's even the proper term. So when a lot of people say, oh, I love houses, I want to get into real estate investing and fix and flipping, or I'm a really good designer, I think I should fix and flip houses, I say, listen, that's one crucial part of the process, but there's about 800 other parts too. So you can't just design an entire business around a speciality that you think you might have. And I think it's almost just as important to realize what business that you shouldn't be in, as opposed to what business you should be in. So just a kind of caution word of advice, if you're watching this and thinking, oh, I'm a good designer, I want to flip a house, just realize that there's a lot more to it than just design. There's things like crews not showing up, project managers keeping half the money that you gave them, having to enforce things in court or whatever. So there's always something. Now, are we going to be able to get this project done in time and on budget? Well, on budget, no, because we've already gone over budget. In time, though, maybe still. We got our island in and the tile is down and things are starting to generally take shape. Now, can we still sustain this timeline since we're not going to have a crew on Monday? I don't know. I definitely don't know. We're going to have to problem solve, and I'm telling you my problem solving around that in a second. But you can see what design choices we're going for. We're going for a dark green fog, I think it's what it's called, on the cabinets and on the island. And we also got this expensive freaking refrigerator that you can do panel doors. So the doors are going to be hidden, which I think is great. Do you see the door that they're working on right now? That leads to the master bedroom. That's a huge problem according to the realtor, because usually you'd walk out there and you can go outside to your little outdoor area, but now you're gonna have to go through a bedroom. I still think it's fine because we have we have a huge shower and a huge closet in there. It should be fine, but the realtor is really giving me some flack about it. But I don't really know what else to do. We had to stick a bedroom in there, like what the hell are you supposed to do? Anyway, we're at about $142,000 right now. Our original rehab budget was $100,000, so we have gone over that by 42%, and that is something that you're just going to see all the time in house flipping. You really do. And what's unfortunate is that lots of these rehab draws are contingent upon the house being done. So if the crew's not there getting the work done, I can't get my rehab draws, which means my entire business cash flow is screwed up, which ergo means that it's going to be really hard to buy this next house because the cash flow is not there.
So if a situation like a project manager not paying his crew happens to you, what do? Now, I do coaching for people. I have about 4 or 5 students right now, and I go over this kind of stuff with them all the time. I'm gonna give you some free coaching right now, so you won't even get in this situation because it's a bad situation to be in. Now, the best thing that you can do is have this situation started to be figured out before you even get there. So what do I mean by that? So for these YouTube videos, I have everything filmed. There's a camera on site 24/7. I also pay through Square to the project manager. So everything is on Square. So these are all recorded transactions. Also, anytime I go to the bank and get a cash payment for anybody, I have them sign it right there when they get the money, and I take a video of them getting the money and acknowledging that receipt. So that right there, just these small little things, is going to save you 90% of headache in the future because you're gonna have records for everything. Now, there's still gonna be a lot of headaches, but at least you'll have records. The next tip that I have for something like that is keep communication with everybody. If you are paying a project manager and he's supposed to then pay the crew, if you want to give them trust up front, totally fine and allow that to happen. But I think it's best to go ahead and jump right in and say, how much is this crew getting paid? When are they getting paid, etc. And if you have to do it and pay them directly and everyone gets their cut, that's totally fine. But to leave it responsible in someone else's hands to then trickle down the payment obviously opens you up to, a potential bad actor or someone allegedly, taking some money and not giving it to the rest of the crew. Also, having everything mapped out in the contract is always such a big help. If you don't have a contract, you can drop a comment and ask for mine, and I'll give you mine that we use, because those are in there. The best thing as well is just to keep open communication with everybody. If there is a problem, request a meeting as soon as possible and say nothing else will get done on this job and no money will change hands until we all sit down and have a meeting. If someone speaks a different language and they don't have great English, then find a translator. You can go on Fiverr, you can go on Upwork, or just go to your local town odd job Facebook group. You can type in like odd jobs on Facebook for a Facebook group in your town for odd jobs and just post like, hey, I need someone that speaks Spanish to do some translation. So a friend of mine was going to help translate that meeting that we are supposed to have but didn't have. And then obviously last course I think is confronting them, not in an aggressive way, in the this is what the situation looks like to me. What do you think the situation is? How is your interpretation different? Here is our issue. How do we fix this together? Blah, blah, blah. Like a lot of people I think would fly off the handle and be really upset, but you have to look at this as like a business problem. It's not a personal thing. Someone lying to you in the business context is a business problem. It's not a reflection on you personally. It might be a reflection on them personally, but it's not a reflection on you. So to get to storm out, to get huffy, to get mad, there's really no benefit to something like that. And if you do need, call a friend, call a coach, even just someone for like an hour like me, and you can talk it out to kind of get your nervous system at a level to be able to deal with this efficiently and effectively. Because your increased and heightened emotions is 9 times out of 10 not going to get you a strategic benefit. It's going to make you very laser focused, very survival mode-y, and you don't want to deal with complex problems in survival mode. You want to deal with complex problems from a higher plane. So on your Maslow hierarchies of needs, you want to be kind of up there where you feel chill, where you feel relaxed, where you can do your creative strategic thinking and not just immediate kind of gratification thinking. So hope that helps. If you liked this episode, you should watch the first couple of episodes about how we got there. I will link them. And also if you want to kind of see the state of the real estate investing market in 2025, you can click on this video. I don't know where the hell they are. YouTube tells you what they think you should watch next, and YouTube is brilliant. So just do that.